Hey everyone, welcome to LimitLess Radiocast, episode 98. Chad and I are hanging out with Nathan Orchard today. We get into some new school, old school, BJJ talk, some NOGI. We have a great time. So you guys, throw those headphones on, turn that volume up, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Hey everyone, the show's also being brought to you by some awesome sponsors. You got RollAmongUs.com, OldBonesTherapy.com, 28bands.com, BJJ Foundation, Lashley Nutrition, BattleBomb.com, Thomas Webb at DHoff Realtors, Dan Candry Law, Magic City Brewing Company.com, located in Akron, Ohio, MNHBeans.com, and Tax and Accounting LLC by Ronald E. Butler. Listen, guys, these sponsors have helped us tremendously to continue this show each and every week. We're reaching 18,000 people on just Reels alone. It is amazing what we are doing, and we're doing it all because of you. So please, support our sponsors as much as they support us. Now enjoy the show. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the show. So Chad and I have the great honor to hang out with Nathan Orchard. He is a second-degree black belt under Eddie Bravo out of 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu in Seattle. Actually. That's
right.
Yeah.
What up?
What's up, Nathan? And he also has competed on some of the biggest stages of all of in our community, our world, whatever you want to call it, including, which I want to talk about some more, Nathan, is you've been in combat jiu-jitsu as well, man.
Oh, yeah.
So, Nathan, thanks so much, man, for hanging out with us. We
glad to be here. Hell yeah, thanks for having me.
So I was watching, as I was saying earlier, guys, everyone out there listening, we were just talking about Chad's giant cut on his forehead or on the top of his head. If anyone out there is watching, he has a giant, he doesn't have a worm on his head or a piece of fuzz. It's a legitly like 2-inch cut that he took some skin off.
Yeah. No cool story.
No cool story.
No cool
there.
story.
It never is. It never is.
It never is. You're right.
It's not a cool jiu-jitsu story.
No.
I know the worst things. It's always when you step off a curb wrong or just do something silly, man. You know?
Yeah.
I've once hurt my back because I ran into a screen door because I was excited to get outside because there was like a fireworks thing going off, and I was younger and I was like trying to get outside and I didn't realize the screen door and I went right into it and I was like, oh gosh, like I jerked my back and then
exactly.
And I was like, this is never a story.
Nothing glorious. Gosh,
right. My wife still makes fun of me to this day. She's like, remember when you hurt your back? I'm like, shush, woman.
fighting a bear.
Right, exactly. Chad, Nathan just got back from Thailand, man. He just did a big,
I saw that.
Yeah. That was amazing. I love getting out there.
How long were you out there, Nathan?
2 weeks this time around.
Nice.
Which, it's never long enough, but always better than nothing. You know, it's a pretty, you guys ever been out to Thailand?
I have not. No. I mean, it's kind of on that bucket list when
I was going to say, you got to make it happen. You really do. It's a wild place, and it really just kind of, teaches you about our culture and how we live. You know what I mean? It's really that comparison is so interesting. Good for my kids to see. Make them appreciate kind of the conveniences that we have here in this country.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And as you know, I mean, social media obviously has projected that even more to where people see things, they want to be things. And it's like, go look at some other countries, go look how they live. And it's like, they live with very minimal stuff than like we do here, so it's kind of wild. That's awesome. How many times have you been there?
I've now been out there 7 times.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. I've given out, I've got a couple brown belts out there now. So I've been going out there since I think 2015. And so I kind of was able to help them like get a 10th Planet affiliation back in the day. So it's kind of my boys out there now. They just turn into, long-term friends. And so I've gone through all my stages of life out there. I first went out there. I was in a long-term relationship for a long time. Went out there and kind of, was chill, and then broke up with that girl. And then I was a single man in Thailand a couple times, and that was insane. And then I, got with my wife now, and I've taken her to Thailand, and now I brought my family out there. So now I go out there and I just like train and meditate. It's a totally different world than when I was a young, single, childless guy going out to Thailand. It's a different world.
So Chad and I, we kind of talked about this before, and obviously as you get older in life and you feel and you look back at those stages, you do start to reflect on that stuff. Like you don't think when you're younger, you're ever going to, but then when you're older, like you do start to reflect on that. Like when you look at it, those kind of stages, and then when you end up having kids and you end up doing, being the whole family thing, and you're like,
I mean, wow. the last trip I was thinking to myself, I'm like, man, is this island different or am I different? And the answer is both,
right, sure.
Koh Tao, where I like to go, that's where the 10th planet is. It definitely has changed. It definitely has grown up a lot, but I have too. So
sure.
Yeah, it's interesting to see. It's a fun thing to kind of always take me full circle and reflect back on, for sure.
Very cool. That's awesome. Did you get that tattoo, that dagger on your arm when you were out there?
I did. I just got this one. Yeah.
So Chad and I are big tattoo.
So now when I put someone in rear naked choke, I'm holding.
Oh, that's awesome.
So I thought, as soon as I saw the picture, I was like, I bet you this has something to do with
that's what it is.
Being across. That's so awesome.
I like it.
Very cool.
Pretty aggressive. It's pretty aggressive, but I like it. Yeah.
But I mean, it's not like. It fits you though. You know what I mean? It's like it's not a bad thing. I swear to you,
no, my wife literally says to me, she goes, I can barely notice it because it's so natural to you. Like I'm always wearing a shirt with a knife on it, or I have a knife on me. It's just, it's just kind of me. It really is.
Which is good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it a kind of goofy question, but the tattoo, was it like standard kind of tattoo, or was there any kind of special?
No, yeah. So actually the yin yang that I have on my arm, I got that in Koh Tao years ago, and that was the bamboo tattoo. They stick you.
That's what. Yeah.
But this knife was a machine. Yeah.
Okay. Very cool. Very cool. So, Chad and I have we convinced him now, our tattooist. He trains in Jiu-Jitsu now because we would get tattooed for hours. And I have 2 sleeves all the way up to my chest, my legs getting worked on, and then this whole arm's done, and Chad's the same. And it's kind of interesting. We always end up bringing up tattoos when we see people have them, obviously, but hours of sitting in a chair talking to our tattooer, like, hey, you should do jiu-jitsu, and then finally we got him, and now he's
good. Hell yeah! And now you're trading private lessons for tattoos.
Right, kind of balance out, right?
Yeah, that's cool. Nice.
That's very cool.
Nice, hell yeah.
Good stuff. So, how's training going for you, man?
Training's going well. It's been an interesting little phase this last little bit because I did the team duel, the combat jiu-jitsu team duel in December, and we won. That was cool. That was a big win for me and my homies, and then since then, this is the first time in nearly 10 or 15 years, I haven't had something scheduled, whether it be MMA or a jiu-jitsu tournament. So, but I did just get hit up by a promotion. I'm not going to talk about it yet, but there's a possibility for a big thing coming up. I'm excited about that. Very so maybe, cool. Keep posted there. But, so right now I'm just really focusing on, I'm still training hard, but with a more emphasis on, I'm building up my guys a lot more, building up my business more. And, it's kind of cool to kind of like step back from competition a little bit and breathe and kind of reorient what the hell I'm trying to do with my business and my school and my guys. So it's a nice phase to be in.
It's a very good phase to be in. And I tell people all the time, like, don't ever count yourself out or feel bad about something when you have to step back. It's a regroup, especially when you've gone through, if you've done a lot of stuff in your life and you're like, hey, I have to chill out for a second and gather my thoughts or do whatever, and you're a busy man, like you're running a business. You got guys under you that you're training and stuff. So
it's important to keep it, I got family and stuff. No, but I actually heard this quote, and it was something to the effect of one man's apparent laziness or lethargy might just be a mustering of energy. So you never really know, like, and sometimes, like, I got students who they get hurt and then they feel bad that they're not training. I'm like, hey dude, maybe this is an opportunity to take care of some other things in life you need to do, like guilt-free time off the mats. You know what I mean? We need that.
100%.
It's tough too when I just came off of my first ever jiu-jitsu injury in 18 plus years.
Damn.
The end of last year, I popped my MCL. So it was a sprained MCL, just passing guard. Like I've done knee cutting and
completely,
they trapped my foot and it popped. So yeah, it's hard to take that time.
Did you?
No. I lucky enough that I have a couple PTs at the gym. Nice. And I have another guy that's chiropractor, and we did some cold laser therapy on it and stuff to promote the healing and all that. And it's just taking that time off. And it is hard especially running the gym, and I teach most of the classes. Sure. I had my purple belts and other black belts step up and teach all that time. I was still there, obviously. But man, it's hard not to feel guilty sometime. Like you put all that time into your jiu-jitsu, and it's like, man, and for me, I'll be 48 this year. Yeah. I was feeling like I was just really feeling good in my jiu-jitsu. Like I was hitting another, like, I don't know if you want to call it a peak, but just a good stretch,
Absolutely.
Like
some epiphanies, some things clicking together. Yeah.
Some things clicking, and I was hitting some dead orchards on people. Damn. Like, cool. I'm like, I don't want to lose all this, but it's bad. Obviously it comes all back, but it's hard to take that time off.
Chad, what year did you get your black belt?
2018.
Okay. Nice. Very cool. You've given out a few black belts?
I've given out, 2 now.
2. Okay, nice. Yeah, same.
So I'm at. My first, I had the first black belt I gave out. He's been with me from white to black. Cool. So every stripe,
homegrown,
every belt,
everything.
Yeah, every stripe, every belt, I gave him. So it was really cool. So cool. But
it's always cool to hear that too. Like I love hearing guys that have had the opportunity to be with one student from the start when they walk in, and they've, they've been there for them that entire time. Like, I mean, I hope to be there someday, but like, I think it's important just because people that understand how hard this is to go through, and jiu-jitsu is hard, man. It's not easy. It's a very difficult on both mental and physical. And honestly, sometimes I sit back and think it may be more of a mental game than it is ever physical, sometimes.
Oh, for sure.
That's what everyone at the highest level says, right? I mean, everyone always goes, wow, it's more mental at the highest level than physical. And I think there's definitely truth to that, for sure. I mean, that psychology is huge. Granted, the physicality does matter, but for example, I always tell my students, I say everybody gets tired. It's just some people don't care. So that right there is a mental thing. You know what I mean?
Right, exactly. Right.
And another crazy one is flexibility is also a mentality. I truly believe that. So again, we all get tired. Some people don't care. Being flexible is a state of mind, and take it for what it's worth. I've heard that people, like right now, I can't just like do the splits. Okay. Mm-hmm. But if I were to die tonight and they took my body tomorrow, my body has the ability to actually do the splits. It wouldn't tear, wouldn't rip. It's the tension in my mind that keeps me from being able to do these things.
Releasing yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So that's pretty fascinating.
Yeah.
It's like Chad still to this day. I mean, and Nathan, you're what? You're 38?
I'm 30. I turned 35.
Or 35. Okay. Yeah.
Actually.
See, well, happy birthday, man.
Hey, thank you.
And sorry, I just added some more years to your life.
It's the beard, bro. I've gone hard. It's
you have a family and kids too, so that just automatically adds, right? Like exactly. Not in a bad way, but it just does.
Dude, I'm loving my life, my age. I'm loving how it all is right now. I look at some of these young dudes and I'm like, enjoy it, but like, I'm just happy where I am. It's cool.
Sure.
That's good.
Which is important. Oh, yeah. Like it's, I love to hear that you recognize it as that, because there are people that don't, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, especially in our community, there are people that just don't take that time to be like, oh, I just have to do and be on top of it. And I get that if you need to, but at the same time, you can still have both. You can still be okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say I tease Chad all the time about his flexibility, because I'm still always like, what the heck? Like, he has like 3 legs that they come out of nowhere.
Well, you're a rubber guard player, huh, Chad?
A little bit. Like when I first started jiu-jitsu in 2004, and that was the time where Eddie was blowing up and rubber guard was like in our face, right? And I played it a lot, but I didn't know really what I was doing.
Sure. You're just grabbing your leg and
just grabbing my leg because I could, you know?
Yeah.
But I do mess around with it a little bit, and I don't, for whatever reason, I just started hitting that dead orchard out of the blue. I don't know what I saw, but I would just go straight to the meat hook and then hit dead orchards off that.
Nice.
They always try to back out, and then I usually get an arm bar off.
That's it. That nice. That was one of the first setups that I started using, was like getting them to think they could slither out, and they kind of bring their elbow line inside of your hip line, and dude, it's on. They do most of the work for you.
Yeah, the other day I got one, and it wasn't like a traditional armbar switch. It was just grabbing the wrist and pushing it against my thigh, pushing it out. So
that's dope.
Yeah, again, things you learned a long time ago all come back, right? Just out of the blue. I'm like, oh, there it is. Let's start playing with this.
Yeah, that's another thing I say often is, it's like when I teach something, I say, look, I don't expect you to get this today. This lesson today is preparing you to basically receive a lesson in the future that one day you'll get that and be like, oh, now it kind of clicks, and you wouldn't get it in that future if you hadn't, had that lesson today. So, it's all just part of the story.
For sure.
Yeah.
It's part of the process, isn't it?
It really is.
Like doing jiu-jitsu and it comes to you. Like I've asked this question, Nathan, when you hit black belt, was it still that like, okay, this is a whole nother level? Like I'm going to, and what year, when did you get promoted to black belt?
I got my black belt in 2014.
Okay.
And so I just hit 9 years at black belt, actually.
Nice. Awesome. Yeah, congratulations,
so pretty wild. Thank you. Yeah. And I remember I went through about a 6-month deep depression after getting my black belt over how much jiu-jitsu I realized I didn't know.
No, right.
I was like, well, shit, am I going to quit now? Because I saw how much more there was to do, and it was very daunting. But then I realized, well, that's what makes it cool, right? It's like you don't win jiu-jitsu per se. Sure, you can win matches, but you can't ever perfect jiu-jitsu itself,
sure,
right? So that's what keeps it cool, keeps it interesting.
It's the greatest thing in the world. Like for that, like that hooked me pretty quickly because of that. So I'm an engineer by trade, and so then the puzzle solving and the just kind of like creativity and doing that stuff, and I'm like, oh, this is awesome. Like I didn't know. I've always known about it. It was something I've always wanted to do, and this is why I started late in doing it. But it's like, wow, this is actually an awesome martial art. Like this is like totally different than anything else you ever do in your life. Like it's not.
And I mean, it's wild how much it's still changing. Like still.
Oh man.
Yeah. Like, would you ever think now, like from when you started, even to see the evolution of what it's happening and still to this day?
I didn't even know that would be possible.
Right.
I didn't even know what I didn't know.
Right. Exactly.
So now it's just like, man, every day, you've seen some of the dopest stuff on Instagram. And the thing is, people are getting exposed to the dopest, newest jiu-jitsu every single day. And I mean, my first MMA fight was in 2004, and there was not YouTube wasn't a thing then, you know. So it's like now people it's so accessible information. It's a whole new world, and that's where you see all these young phenoms and all this stuff,
Yeah, the young studs that you watch on a regular basis, but you get to see them on, Flow Grappling or the IBJJF circuit or ADCC or whatever it is, EBI. It's amazing. Like you watch them and you're just like, how is this even possible? Like some of the stuff, it's crazy.
Well, these kids are starting when they're 5, literally 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years old, being taught by legit people, the best techniques right away. Like, man, they're going a lot further, a lot faster, but it's like they're only able to go that much further and faster because of the work that the previous generation did.
Right?
I've only been able to take rubber guard to maybe a next level because of all the work that Eddie Bravo. We all just working off of each other's previous work. Yep. That's what it's all about.
Did Eddie like inspire you to first start jiu-jitsu, or how'd that happen?
Yeah, no, I was an MMA fighter first.
Okay, first. Okay.
I should say I wrestled, and then. Did
you wrestle in high school?
I wrestled a little bit in high school. I wrestled a little in middle school, and then in high school, and then my senior year, I shattered my ankle, so I didn't get to wrestle. Man. Yeah, my foot completely backwards, man. I was in I was playing football, and I was making a tackle, and my buddy 300-pound dude falls on my leg.
It's always a big guy. It's always a big guy.
And it was just and 16 fractures and just the whole thing.
Ooh.
Completely horrible. Yeah. So, but no, it actually turned out to be weirdly a blessing in disguise, because it made me never take movement for granted. You know what I mean? Like,
sure.
I just after that, I just never wasted my health. Right. I just always ever since I've been training, I've been riding that same momentum. I've never stopped ever since I got healthy from that injury. So again, that kind of, and I never got that competition fire out of me because I didn't get to go do all the, state and stuff like that my senior year. So I got out of high school and I still wanted to do stuff. And so I just started doing MMA.
Nice.
I had my first MMA fight in high school. And then after high school, I had 20 more fights. And then I was on an 8-fight winning streak. And then I lost 3 decisions in a row I got out wrestled.
Okay.
And I was like, man, I'm going to take a break from MMA and get my jiu-jitsu so good that no no wrestler can stop me.
Can stop you, sure.
Yeah. And then, man, I just got lost in jiu-jitsu. I was just gone, and I've had plenty of head trauma.
Easy to
I don't
do.
need any more of that,
Right.
Yeah.
MMA guys don't have head trauma, do they?
Gosh, man, it's sad. I actually don't even like watching MMA because watching people get knocked out just kind of bums me out because I just know how bad it is for you. I've been there.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Look, I love it as a sport. Sometimes I do think about it. I mean, it's definitely less than boxing, obviously, because the constant pounding on boxing can last, 15 rounds, and you got a guy just constantly gets punch drunk, basically hitting his head. And MMA is different, but I still think there's a little bit difference, even though obviously we love it. We love to watch it.
Huge difference for sure.
And don't get me wrong. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love combat jiu-jitsu. Combat jiu-jitsu is actually like my thing. You know?
Yeah,
I mean, whatever. I'm down with it still, but it's just like, yeah.
When you first saw combat jiu-jitsu, were you like, I want to do that? And like aside to MMA, it's like, hey,
actually, no. At first, I was like, man, that's kind of a weird mix of MMA. It's not pure MMA. It's not pure jiu-jitsu. It's kind of weird, but like, I'll do it because whatever. And then I was just like, wow, this is the best. I think it's so fun and so interesting, and just another way to mix up the jiu-jitsu. And again, like not a lot of jiu-jitsu guys have done as much MMA or striking as I have. So I have a great advantage over a lot of like most jiu-jitsu people, I think. I mean, you spend a lot of time in the cage, so you kind of know pinpoint spots to hit and how to do it and feel comfortable and how to not get hit.
And I was going to say how to cover up.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, all of it, and a lot of guys in combat jiu-jitsu, they swing like this, right? I'm swinging straight, what I mean? Like, right.
Almost like that tiger palm punch. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Well, I know, for real. There's something to it, and I mean, really, if you go to your gym tomorrow and you make a fist and you punch your mats as hard as you can, it kind of hurts. If you open your hand and palm strike it, you can hit it as hard as you can and it doesn't hurt. I mean, you can do serious damage with open palms.
Yeah. So now on the other side of that, would you rather get palm struck or punched? You know what I mean? Like, what's worse? I don't know.
It just depends on who's
it just depends, right?
Who's punching.
Yeah.
It's got to be location too, like versus, I'm getting punched across the jawline, or am I getting fist palmed where I'm not blocking it or able either way, but
it all sucks.
I haven't really considered that question, but no, for sure. I just don't want to get hit at all, really.
Yeah.
Right? I was going to say the alternate is not good at all.
Yeah.
So it was kind of funny. This happened. This is probably last year, isn't it, Chad? So I got into a huge discussion with someone at I'll leave them nameless. Chad, you'll know the story because combat jiu-jitsu came up. I was at a place and they were like, oh, if a high level karate guy got into a combat jiu-jitsu, they would just win because they can just break bricks and stuff with their hands, and they would just bust your head open and everything. And I was like,
does this person do jiu-jitsu?
They don't. They're a big
then they're not credible. I'm sorry. That's just the way it is.
They were very much like defensive because I was defending jiu-jitsu, and I was like, no, man, I'm telling you right now, like I'm a blue belt, and if like you're a big karate guy, I'm telling you right now, like you're not going to be able to hit me to hurt me at all. I'm going to take you to the ground, and then it's on. Like I'm going to do what I do, and you can palm hit me all you want, and you're not going to have any power behind it because of what location I'm going to allow you in. And they were very defensive, and they didn't like that answer. And then they were bringing up some videos on YouTube and trying to prove to me that like, if this person could break this brick, they would be able to hit you and kill you type deal. And I was like, no, I'm sorry. Just doesn't work.
Hitting a brick when the brick isn't hitting you back is one thing.
That's exactly what Chad said right away.
Okay.
We had a text thing going on after this about it.
For sure. But also, I can't remember who said it, maybe Bruce Lee or something, but there are no superior martial arts, only superior martial artists.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So it just depends. It's like, no, if this guy's like a super gangster karate guy against like not that good of a grappler, okay, maybe,
sure.
You know what I mean? But
sure.
You get like, but honestly, a good purple belt, man, if you don't have grappling and you're just a karate guy, good luck. Like really, good luck with that.
Really, exactly.
And I grew up on that traditional karate side. Growing up in the 80s, I did a lot of karate back in the day. Yeah. And all that board breaking and stuff, there's an easy way to do it too. Like all those bricks, you put them in the oven and bake them, they become very, very easy to break.
Sure.
So That stuff's just all. Then again, you don't know what you don't know, right?
Sure, right. And look, I'm a karate traditionalist. Like I'm a martial art. Like I did a lot of Jeet Kune Do. I'm a very big. I mean, and Nathan, I looked. I know Bruce Lee is a big inspiration to you. Sure. Chad, the same with me. I mean, a lot of us that grew up in.
I'm not bashing karate. I do. I am a karate style fighter. But I'm just saying, man, grappling is like this. It's just a whole other thing.
It's a different level of what you can do and how manipulating joints. And once you're attached to someone like that, it's like it's hard to explain to people,
who've never felt it.
Yeah, and I'm like, dude, once I attach to you, like you're not getting. I'm never gonna let you go.
I was hanging out with a guy who he knew I was a grappler. He didn't really follow jiu-jitsu that much or whatever, so he didn't really know. He doesn't really know what's possible. And so one day he's like, no, I really want to wrestle you. And I'm like, are you sure? He's like, yeah, no, like let's do this. I'm like, okay, let's go. And so I, of course, like it's kind of like wrestling a child, and I just take his back and choke him out. And then he's like, okay, let's go again. I take him back, choke him out, and I do it a third time. And by the end of it, he goes, man, I thought I'd at least make it hard for you. I thought I'd last at least a couple minutes, but it's like 30 seconds if you're lucky. You know what I mean? It's, you don't know. It's crazy, man. I mean, real jiu-jitsu it's a superpower to just like, I call them civilians, people who don't.
And that's, I do the same thing. I'm like, you're a civilian. You don't know anything. I try to be, I'm nice about it. I'm not trying to be like, I'm this tough guy or anything, but I'm like, come to the gym and train. Like, I'm like, just come train, man. Like you'll see. Yeah. And, majority of people, I see red, I get angry, but I'm like, we aren't even have to work hard to get to your back because you don't even know what we're doing. So, like, take you down, get to your back, and you're going to be like, what the heck? Like, you're swinging for the fences. Like, I don't care. You're swinging for the fences all you want.
Yeah. Silly. I think a lot of that, too, and me coming from that background, if you're not an open-minded person, right? And somebody tells you that what you've been doing for 20 plus years isn't going to work or is worthless.
Yeah. That's not going to hear that. You're not going to hear that.
No, that's a hard pill to stop. I remember being in karate and it's like, we didn't learn nothing on the ground. Like, it won't get there. You'll handle it beforehand.
Right.
Like, and I was a decent karate point fighter type person, like back in the day. Man, 100-pound wrestler would have dumped me on my head. I wouldn't have been like, but I think that's a lot of it is if you're not open-minded and you're hearing this, you're like, whatever.
Yeah. It's a pride factor to that, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be honest, there's a pride factor in jiu-jitsu too. I mean, there's like, oh no, I don't need to know how to do that, or I don't need to know the leg game because I'm just going to smash him or whatever. You hear people all the time. It's like, well, that's not true either, man. Guys, come on. Like, to be honest, it's a puzzle you're trying to figure out, right?
It's, I like to think of it as like, it is, styles make fights, really. Styles make matches, right? And it's like, okay, a crude analogy, I guess, is like, crane style beats snake, but snake beats monkey, but monkey beats tiger style. It's just like, who's fighting with what style on that day? How are they feeling? Like, whatever, Yeah.
Go back and look some of the greatest matches. I mean, what styles were I bring up Marcelo a lot now that I know more about him, obviously, since being in the community. And Chad was like, that's just kind of the way he did things. And I'm like, that's his style. And he stuck to it. Like he didn't wave from it. Or, the Mendez brothers, like they had a style and they stuck to what they did all the time.
No, true.
Eddie has a style and he sticks to it all the time,
Very much so.
Yep. So it's like, I get it, which I love because I think it's important for everyone to be able to see that and learn that with social media. It's like, it's out there. Then again, I don't want some of that stuff happening to me either. I'm like, stop doing that crazy stuff that you saw on the internet, man.
Time and a place. That's for sure.
Right. Like, knock it off. You're a white belt. Stop doing that. Really. I'm old. My knees are fragile. That's awesome. Very good. I was going to ask you something else. I can't remember what it was now. Dang it. This is what happens. This is what's so awesome about doing a podcast is that we don't write anything down, so things just kind of flow, and then I end up forgetting what I was going to say.
That's how it typically
works. All right.
Yeah. So do you guys still compete?
No, I do not. I haven't. Chad, you just talked about this not too long ago.
Yeah, I haven't competed since I was a purple belt. I just kind of, I was just I never wrestled. I didn't have that competition mindset, I don't think. And it was hard for me. Like I've taught classes too since I was like a 2-stripe white belt. you know? So I think to be really, really good in competition, very few people can do both. You have to be that. You have to be a little selfish sometimes to
big time
to really exceed at some of those things or excel at some of those things. So I like teaching and coaching a lot more than I liked competing.
Yeah, and I would agree, and I definitely I feel bad for my students sometimes. I'll tell them straight up, like, guys, like I tell people pretty straight up that I'm not really a coach. You know what I mean? I don't have time or energy between family and competition. Like I said, for this first 6 months is the most I've ever been a coach. I've gone to now tournaments and cornered some people and stuff, which I usually don't do because I'm so laser focused in on what I'm doing, you know, and competition is obviously, you know, not necessary. But it does, you know, I always tell people it's like 6 weeks of class packed into one day. You know what I mean? Like nothing shows you your flaws more than competition. Or, you know, you think you have a style. You're like, oh, I do this in the mat room. My style of competing is so crazy different from the mat room. It's you almost couldn't compare. And I guess the goal is to make it so that the mat room is no different than competition. You know, how you move and how you think and how you feel, but that's the trick that we're all working towards, I suppose.
Yeah, I actually signed up and then I dropped out of my first competition. I was going to do it how long has that been, Chad? 4 weeks ago?
A month ago. Yeah.
It wasn't. So I put a lot of pressure on myself because I played a lot of sports in my life. I was always like a gym rat. I was the person that would be first in, last out. I would just keep going all the time. And it became not fun for me at this age. And I don't know, I want it to be fun.
If it's not fun, what the hell's the point, really?
And that's where I had a conversation with Chad and I was like, it's not fun anymore, man. Like I'm trying to learn it hard. I'm nervous, obviously, which is normal, I think. But it was just like, I would go to class and just get in as much as I could. And I was, you know, I like to film study and which doesn't really help you for competition, but just kind of looking at things and trying to get a feel for it. And I was like, man, this is not fun for me. Like I don't know. I don't know why it's never been that way for me. I've always been the person that's like, oh, I'll go first. like, let me go first. Like, I'll tackle it. Like, I'll wrestling mat. Like, let's go, Terry. Like, you're first, man. Go ahead. You're lunatic.
I mean, I'll be honest with you though. I also hate competition, which is kind of a reason I have competed so much throughout the years, you know, is because usually the moment something scares me and I don't want to do it, that's when I'm like, fuck, now I have to do it. You know what I mean? Like,
right. Yeah.
All right, here we go. Now it's on, you know?
Yeah.
But so you just got to kind of weigh those things out, what it is worth to what you're trying to do, you know? Yeah.
And it was a great local tournament ran by some really good guys. But I'm obviously masters. So the age group was going to be like, it was like 30 years and above was masters. And so that was another factor. It was kind of like, well, not that I care too much. I'm a strong guy, but do I want to go against a 30-year-old guy that's could, you know, whatever. And I think I let that play into my head too much. I still regret it already. Like I did pretty.
Well, if you want to do it, you'll go back and
that's what Chad said. He was like, dude, you'll be all right.
Yeah. No rush. It's all good.
Just stunk. It's it just was like, I went to the tournament too and watched, but there was a couple guys that I knew I would have ended up going against. And I was like, I'm glad I didn't compete. That guy's insane.
Well, there you go. There's your answer, bro.
Right. I was like, that guy's like high octane, man. I was like, holy crap.
Yeah. Well, especially when you go to these local tournaments, smaller tournaments, you don't know if you'll even get a master's. They might throw you in the adult division.
Right. Exactly.
Or move you up a weight class or like, so something you got to deal with.
I guess
true. It's true.
I love competing. I love just getting after it. I love that part of it. So I think I did an overthinking too process, kind of like it's the first
for sure.
One. So it was like, oh wait, you're diving too deep into this. And good thing my coach is like,
but you said something.
Go ahead.
You said something about watching footage not helping, and I was thinking that maybe you guys have heard of the study they did where they had people do like mental reps of things versus they took multiple groups of people. Some they did the actual physical reps. Some people only did mental reps. and some people just did nothing. And the people who did mental reps only came back almost as good as the people who also did physical reps. Wow. So watching video, if you were to be putting yourself in those person's shoes, so to speak, you are kind of getting mental reps. So I think that watching tons of matches, but not just watching them from the outside perspective, but like trying to imagine that was you doing that. Because I can do that. I can watch a match and I can get all nervous, and what would I do in that situation? I can feel, I think that's kind of one of my gifts, is I'm able to really put myself like, what is it? A kinesthetic learner?
Oh,
right.
Yeah.
Where you can you first of all, it helps to have someone do the move on you and you can feel it. But again, I can almost kind of put myself in someone's body and imagine I'm doing the move. Anyway, it's been pretty interesting stuff. So I think watching enough matches could actually definitely help you get better.
Yeah, we've talked about that a lot. Like I not that I don't like watching instructional videos and learning stuff that way, but I really love watching matches. That's I like watching matches more than instructionals.
For sure.
And seeing that stuff. So.
Yeah,
it's almost
I'm the
data.
Same. And I'm more of I will meditate on that. Like I will just take time away, like in my bedroom or whatever. And my wife will be like, are you going to go chill for a little bit? And I'm like, yeah. And I'll imagine 100 matches in my head over and over and over again, like me getting into that position or me doing it. Or
that's right.
That's helped me a ton at an older age. And I accepted that very early at jiu-jitsu. It's like, people are like, oh, you spend so much time just getting beat up. I never took it as that. I was like, I'm completely fine with this. I'm okay with it because I feel better having it done to me and learning that way. And then I can reverse it and try to figure it out. And that has helped me a ton. Chad, for instance, is obviously very good at tripod sweep and a gi, and and he would sweep me all the time. And then so we always sort of talk, and it's like, hey, try to make the goal of not being done to you 5 times, get it down to 1 time in a roll or whatever. Yeah. So I started doing that constantly to where it's like, he can still do it obviously, but it's a work. Like you got to work for it. I'm not just going to be there. And I do it now. That's really a big move that I go to is, if I pull guard, or whatever, I can get to the tripod sweep and come right back up. And it's like, I get that a lot now. And it's like, well, it's because it was done to me so much and I'm okay with that. I took it as like, oh no, you're learning, dude. You're not getting beat up. You're absorbing this.
That's right. It's all pattern. Oh, keep going. I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
No,
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Nathan.
I was just gonna say it's all pattern recognition, right? And so it's just the more you go through something, the more data you have to, basically you're collecting data to then see the patterns more and understand those patterns, whether you're doing them or they're done to you. So it is, if we just think of it as not winning or losing, but data collection.
Yeah.
To then go through and recognize those patterns, right?
Yeah, doing that with the De La Riva stuff right now, like De La Riva, sucking that leg up and getting my foot on the opposite thigh and kind of sweeping that way. I can roll and come up and still get that. And I was like, man, I really like this, and I've learned it a long time ago. I just never really implemented it, but now it's like, oh, I'm mentally looking at that all the time in my head, that's what's up. And shoot through, get the this is awesome. And now guys will be like, if they're watching me or something, that just happened last week, like, oh, Terry, you got to sweep, get up. And I was like, it's there. Holy crap. It's there on a regular basis now. Which that's jiu-jitsu too, which is awesome.
Yeah. It's all about the reps, right? You gotta get those reps in and get those, especially going live, I tell people all the time, whatever I'm teaching this week or the next 2 weeks, try to hit them when you're rolling, right? You have to be okay with failing. You're going to fail. It's, but that goes back to your data collection, right?
It's not failing. You just, man, you needed that information.
Right? You needed it. Exactly. he's going to post with his right hand if I do it this way.
It's all good.
It's okay. I try to have that talk a lot. And back to what Terry was saying with that, instead of getting swept 5 times this round, you only get swept 2 times. Yeah. I don't feel we talk about the small goals of jiu-jitsu enough. We just talk about, I need to get my purple belt in the next 3 years. That's a long time. There's going to be a lot of ups and downs in that 3 years. So let's talk about what's your small goal. Yeah. It's to, not get swept as much or whatever that case may be.
Yeah.
And there's a thing where they say, because for example, if you were to say, I got to read for an hour every day, man, it's kind of hard to read for an hour every day. We're all busy and distracted in life.
Sure.
So we set these goals that are too difficult.
Yep.
And then we don't do them, and then we feel all shitty about ourselves, and then we kind of fail. It's all about setting those. Look, we can all read for 5 minutes a day, So setting those attainable goals instead of saying, no, I need to get a black belt in less than 10 years. Man, that's crazy. It's like, yeah, how about just do little things at a time, not get swept 5 times in a match. The little goals are the things that build up to those big things,
Yeah. So I started that back, right after or during the pandemic. I'm not a workout guy. To go throw a kettlebell for an hour, half hour. So we have a guy at the gym, John Bennett, who teaches our fitness classes. He's like, have you ever heard about greasing the groove? I'm like, no, I haven't, He's like, if you want to start doing push-ups, go do 20 push-ups and then go back to what you're doing. And then an hour later, go do another 20 push-ups.
That's it.
And by the end of the day, before you go to bed, you might have 200 push-ups in.
Yeah. That's what's up.
That's what I've kind of, with push-ups and pull-ups and kind of that kind of thing. Yeah. Just grease the groove. Like you said, read for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you might have, a chapter done or whatever. But
one of the best pieces of advice I ever got was motivation comes after action. Right. It's like, well, you're never motivated. But look, the thing is, you start reading for 5 minutes. All of a sudden you can read for 15. And then all of a sudden you're kind of getting really into it. So you read for 30 and then maybe you get distracted and move on. But, it's just like, just start. Just start. You'll get more done. Some is better. Another thing, right? This has been huge for me lately is not letting the perfect be the enemy of the good. Yeah. Right.
I like that.
Oh,
that's
dude,
awesome.
it's been a game changer for me because I want things to be just perfect. And if it can't be perfect, I'm not going to do it at all.
Right.
But what's worse or what's better? Doing it at least a little bit or just doing none at all.
Sure.
Right. So,
that needs to be on walls in like every jiu-jitsu academy because sometimes I think people walk away and quit because they're looking for that quick, even as a white belt, and you start to feel, oh, I know some stuff. And then you realize you don't know anything.
Oh, yeah.
And so then you walk away because then you like quit. I mean, that was a huge inspiration for me from Chad. One night I, music off, whatever, went home as a white belt and I text him. I'm like, I suck at this. Like, I don't want to do it. And he was like,
that means you're learning jiu-jitsu.
Right. He was like, you should suck at this. Like, and it kind of like the light bulb kind of went off. It's like, wow, you're overthinking this, man. Like, just enjoy it. Like, just take a little bit at a time. So that I really changed pretty quickly in my journey of that kind of mentality. It's like, okay, let's just go with it. Like, you're okay, man. Like, fine. Like just what you said. Like, I love that quote, Nathan.
It's awesome. And we're never fair to ourselves, right? You're never comparing apples to apples. Yeah. Terry's comparing himself to the 25-year-old blue belt that he just rolled with.
That wrestled his whole life and blah, blah, blah.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, it's not fair, but that's just who we are. We still do that,
Yeah, no, it's true.
No,
a game changer for me was when I realized every cliche I ever heard was completely true.
Absolutely.
It's just that you hear them so often that you're just kind of like, that's like a cute sentiment, but like, whatever, but no, truly, it is just about the journey. It is, I mean, every competition is preparation for the next competition.
Yeah.
It's never the end of competition. It's never as soon as you fulfill a goal, you just want to do another goal. So the goal is obviously not the purpose, right? It's just the doing, really, but it's easy to get distracted by that.
It is very easy to get distracted for sure. Yeah, I'm still glad though that I am in it and part of the community, and which is another whole thing that we talk about a lot is you don't really expect that. You don't really know that's what's going to happen until you are involved and you're around. Sometimes, like I sit back and think, wow, I'm around like-minded people that I never knew. And we joke on the show a lot. I can't talk to anybody else now though. Like all my other outside friends, they're no longer my friends because they're like, dude, all you talk about is grappling crap all the time. And I'm like, because it's awesome. You should come train.
Yeah, no, I mean, one of the benefits of jiu-jitsu is any city in the whole world now, man, is like, you're traveling, you can go find a jiu-jitsu school and you're instantly going to meet people who can tell you, I don't know where to get a job or where to go to eat or just whatever, man. It's like, it's this crazy cool community. And that is one of the secret benefits of jiu-jitsu. Like people think they're going to get into shape or learn how to fight or something. It's like, no, you're joining a whole world of pretty cool people, man, who, have there's a lot of really good-hearted people in jiu-jitsu. It is a beautiful thing to be a part of.
Yeah, for sure. So like starting this show and Chad, before you jumped on, like Nathan and I talked about a little bit, like how long have we been doing the show and stuff. And, this past January, it's been 2 years. That's the coolest thing about doing this show. Like I have met and built a network of friends I never thought about doing that. I'm an introvert by nature. Like this isn't something that I do. I do it more now than I ever could. I talk to all kinds of people, whatever, outside of this, but like, it's like, if I see you, it's like, hey man, how you doing? Like, I'm so glad to see you in person. Like, I hope everything's going well, and like have a little conversation just like we would here on the show. And that's not something I ever thought you could do. Like you build that sometimes when you're just in general, you meet someone and then you never see them again. But like in our community, it's just different. It's really hard to explain to people. And I'm thankful and blessed, I think.
It's cool. That's good stuff, man.
It's definitely. So I got to ask, man, do you surf? Because you got that surfboard on the wall back there.
I do surf. I'm not a surfer, but I surf.
But you surf, man. Hey.
Actually, my first ever black belt, Sam Hardy, he made me the surfboard that you see.
Oh, very cool. That is awesome.
So I know that was he got his black belt, and then a few months later he gave me the surfboard, and I was like, man, that's a pretty special gift. So I've only ridden it a few times. I don't get to get out as much as I'd like to, but it's still, hey, at least it looks good on the wall too.
It looks very cool on the wall.
It's cool.
Yeah, it's very cool. That's why I had to ask. I'm like, there's got to be something.
I'm not a poser. I try not to. You know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't hang a surfboard on my wall if I didn't surf occasionally, at least. Yeah,
it's a full size too. That's awesome.
Yeah. I think it's a 9.6. Okay. That's made of like cedar and some other. It's a cool board.
Talk about a craft.
Oh yeah.
Like we talk about crafts and people, and I love people's creativity, and I love that part of like building, and people still have that. I hope that it never goes away. But like seeing it, like, and then you say it's made out of cedar, like he had to shave that down, like the amount of work and time that takes, and the love that people put into it. It's just it's like jiu-jitsu. Like you put special. Like it's pretty amazing, man.
Yeah.
Speaking of like the love of your craft, when you do that stuff, or some of the stuff that you share on Instagram, like, is it stuff that you just think of like, let me try this, and then just keep doing it over and over?
I mean, there's nothing I show on Instagram that I don't at least that I haven't hit. You know what I mean? Now, there's levels of qualification, right? Like hitting something in competition. Or let's say if I'm learning a new move, it's like, or if I even teach a move, I'll be like, okay, I've hit this in competition, or I've only hit this move in black belts in the gym, or I've only hit this on 130-pound female blue belts. You know what I mean? Like that, the levels of qualification.
Yeah.
But at some level, I hit everything. But one thing about Instagram that's super interesting to me. I mean, there's a lot of styles of sharing jiu-jitsu on Instagram,
right?
And there's so many ways, and one of the things that I'm always trying to kind of get through people's heads is like, look, if you are, because people are very critical, which I'm going to keep doing me no matter what, but everyone's got something to say, but it's like, look, if you are if you're trying to argue the technique, you're missing the whole point that I'm trying to make, and the whole point I'm trying to make is, what is possible? Exactly. What is possible? Yeah. Like, I'm not saying you're gonna hit this. I'm not saying you should hit it. I'm not saying it's the best. I'm just saying, hey, look at this. Consider it. Consider this idea, and maybe you'll get something from it. Maybe you won't, but fine. You know what I mean? Someone else is gonna get something from it, even if you don't. So whereas some people are showing things that like they've only hit in competition, or they say, oh, I see Gordon Ryan do this all the time. It's like, cool, man. I'm also just trying to like do fun, interesting, new creative things. And a lot of them I do hit in competition, maybe in different sequence or whatever else. But again, it's also about creativity and just having fun and trying to do something new and different,
I love it because I told Chad this, and we've talked about it several different times. He, Chad, I'm not putting you on the spot, but he was nervous about putting material out there.
Yeah.
Of
course. Someone's always got to say something.
Right. Yeah. And that's the thing. And I said, here's been my motto for everyone, and I tell people this all the time. Like, people could make fun of us doing a show. We don't know anything. I'm a blue belt. I know nothing. It's like, that's cool. I don't care about that. What I care about is the fact that I want to spread positive information to people, and I want to give people a platform. Right. And I could say one thing in a podcast that might change someone's life. And that's right. All I want to think about. I don't think about anything else. And like I told Chad the same thing, like, put something out there. It's one person. Nathan, the same thing. Like, you don't, like, I love to hear that you're like, I'm doing this for the fun and the joy. And there could be that one person that sees it and goes, that's awesome. And that's going to change my game.
And that means I succeeded.
That's right. Exactly. I mean? 100%. Yeah. And too many people doubt themselves because there's so much out there and there's too much hate out there. You know what I mean? Like, people attacking people or whatever, for whatever reason, they, oh, that move would never work. Well, yeah, you're not really looking at it. Like,
what I find, dude, is normally the people who make negative comments, either don't train, or you click on their profile and they don't have jiu-jitsu pictures or whatever else.
Right.
Or they have a private profile, so you can't learn anything about them or even respond to them necessarily. So it's honestly, the only people that are going to talk shit are the people doing less than you.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
100%.
Someone who's out there busting their ass, they're not going to say anything. So not to call anyone a loser, but like, hey, maybe instead of kind of being a dick, just go do something. You know what I mean?
Do something more than being that, that keyboard warrior.
I'm at least trying to do something, put myself out there, try and help some people out, try to be creative. And again, anytime I feel that kind of apprehension to post or share my jiu-jitsu, that's when I have to do it, because I will not be controlled, especially by my fear of someone critiquing me, because I'll never live a full life if I'm always afraid of someone disagreeing. Right? There's a story. I'm probably going to butcher it, but you'll understand the point. It's a grandson is walking with his grandfather, and they're walking through, I don't know, the woods or something, and they come upon a horse. And so they're like, oh, cool. They take the horse with them, and they're walking along, and someone says, hey, it's a donkey, maybe, whatever. And they're walking along with the donkey, and someone says, hey, you guys are silly. Like, one of you should ride the donkey. So one of them gets on the donkey. The little boy gets on, and they go along a little further, and someone goes, hey, young man, you're so rude. You should let the older gentleman ride the donkey instead of you. And so the little boy gets off, and the old guy gets on. And then they're going along further, and someone goes, hey, you guys, that donkey can carry both of you easily. You should get on. Don't be silly. So they both get on. And then later, they're walking along, and someone goes, you're hurting that poor donkey. Get off the donkey. The point is, you're always going to piss someone off.
Yeah.
There will always be at least one person who's going to say something. So, like, if you don't ever want someone to say something to you, just stay home and do nothing.
Right.
You know
exactly.
what I mean?
Yeah. And there's nothing successful or great about living that life either. Like, staying home. Like, don't be afraid. Like, don't attack that fear. Like, don't let people, other people control your thought process and just doing nothing, because then you're not fulfilled. I mean, let's be honest, man. Like,
that's it. Basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's good, man. That's very good. Very good stuff. That's good.
Little stories like that.
No, and it's so true. And especially, we talk about the amount of stuff that's out there, in social media, and what social media has done and how it's changed the world of everyone's thinking process.
For better or worse,
Right. And it's both ways. Like, I tell people, I'm like, well, just skip over it, man. Don't read that stuff.
Yeah.
Or like, unfollow it. If you're following something that's constantly negative for you, then like, what are you doing? Like, stop reading comments. Stop reading this. Like, you're looking for negativity then if you're diving that deep into it. Like, it's not worth it, especially in our community, like, because you can read a million things.
I've recently tried to change my mentality a little bit to, anytime I see an obstacle, even, the fear of someone critiquing me, or, oh, that seems difficult. Obstacles are not obstacles at all. They're not in the way. They're actually gates, right? And it's like, if you can cross through that gate, if you can, again, the harder something seems to be, maybe the more valuable it is to do. Right. Sure, so instead of letting these tough things deter us, maybe let them motivate us. Like, oh, all of a sudden you start feeling a lot of that. Like, there's actually a really powerful book called The War of Art, right? By Stephen Pressfield. Yeah. I talk about this book a lot. And it's basically about fighting, I'll call it this entity called resistance. And resistance is anything that keeps you from doing the thing that makes you feel fulfilled or happy. And that could be your friend saying, hey, let's go party, instead of, you knowing you should go train. Sure. Or whatever the case is, your own fear. Anything that stops you from trying. And so we're actually fighting this war against resistance. Anything stopping us from that is keeping us from reaching our potential.
Yeah.
So whether again, and I try to notice when I feel that feeling of I kind of don't want to do this. It's like no, maybe that's a sign that I should definitely do it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Do you think you felt that? Oh, go ahead, Chad.
I was just going to say, Terry kind of pushing me to put some videos out there and be like, who cares what people think, right? And I've taught for a long time and I'm confident in how I teach.
Sure.
But that has led me to this summer. I'm going to go teach some seminars out and about. I'm going to get out and teach some seminars. So without him helping me do that, I don't know if I would have done this and got out of my comfort zone, It's
actually empowering.
Yeah.
Right? To do these things that we're like, I'm afraid to do it, but then you do it, and that's where the good shit happens.
Yeah. I'm like, who's going to want me to teach a seminar? I'm like, well, so
that small thing.
5 lined up seminars at other gyms.
It does.
No, we're so conditioned to be like, wow, why me? I'm not good enough. Who would want to? Bullshit. That's bullshit. Anytime you notice that down talk, man, that is some garbage. You know what I mean? Like, no way, man. We are capable of so much, and there's so much. We are the only ones that we create our own limitations.
We create our own limitations. Exactly. 100%.
Yeah.
That's why we call the show Limitless.
I mean, oh damn! No,
that's kind of why Chad and I we went through that whole process, but it was like
that's beautiful.
It actually came to Chad as he was watching the Jiu-Jitsu match.
Check this out, and I'm gonna take this to the most extreme. Okay, I believe that if I truly believed I could fly, I would be able to walk outside and fly. Just jump off the ground and start flying. But guess what? I don't believe I can. Yeah. You know what I mean? Sure. And everyone else would be like, right, or you're crazy. You can't fly. Obviously, you can't fly. That's crazy. Maybe that's why no one can fly. I don't know. I'm just saying.
Sure. I like that.
So let's take it down to a smaller thing, though, because again, flying, we all agree that sounds crazy, but maybe that right there, that all agreeing, maybe that is that limiting belief. And so, cool. It's really hard to just say, I believe I can fly. You don't believe. No one believes they can fly, which is why no one can. Maybe.
Sure, right.
Maybe that's why no one can fly. So how can we start to shut down that voice in our head that says we can't? Well, by doing littler things that you think are hard. Like I've done 1,000 things that I at one point thought I couldn't do. You know what I mean? Like dude, I beat Imanari in a jiu-jitsu match. Like holy shit, like that. But that brought me to a higher level of self-belief. You know what I mean? So, dude, we just got to like chip away at these little things. And then maybe one day we'll be able to do the crazy. Yeah. Maybe one day we'll stop these limiting beliefs. Like, wait, why can't I make $1 billion? Or why can't I fly? Who knows? You know, like,
we spend such a lifetime of and what to circle a little bit back to the beginning of the show was as you get older, you do start to realize some of that stuff. And if we can plant seeds in the younger generation now, that we can change that thinking like a little bit at a time. It's like chip away at that, man. Like understand. I coach my 9-year-old baseball team. Me and a couple other guys are the coaches, and I speak the same way I do on the show. And people are like, "Oh, like sometimes you get too deep with them." And I'm like, "But I'm not telling them things. I'm giving them those little seeds to plant outside of just playing this game. They're 9-10-year-olds. That's the age group. I go, they're gonna learn, man. They're building this stuff." And people always ask me about my youngest son, and they're like, "Why does he do?" And I go, "I don't push him like really hard. Like I talk to him." And then he does the things based off just because the way I speak to him, then he's out shooting 1,000 basketballs or he's hitting 1,000 baseballs. And I'm like, oh, hey, Arch,
dude.
How you feeling, man? He's like, I'm getting after Dad. Like, I'm just, and I'm like, all right, cool. Like, I don't like, and that's kind of, I didn't build that up until after later on. And I wanted to bring this up. Nathan, you talked about this book that you read, The Art of War, or The War of Art.
The War of Art. I've read both.
Okay, but art, so it's the other one, yeah.
The War of Art. Yes.
Okay, the War of Art. Did you read this book? Are you still reading it, or did you already complete it?
I've read this years ago, and this was something that it impacted me hugely back then.
So, did it help when you took the 6 months to corner people or coach more versus competing and stuff, or the time limit? Like, did that help, or did that kind of give you that, like, hey, okay, because it was something that you didn't really do that much?
Right. I mean, the thing is, I've always liked doing those sorts of things. I've just always been so busy doing, again, being kind of selfish in my own training.
Sure. Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, but no, that book has absolutely changed. That was one of the game changers for me. It was that book. It definitely did help me to, realize that, stop those limiting beliefs. That is resistance. That is the enemy.
So that's what I was wondering about the coaching and cornering. Like, did you resist on yourself because of everything?
It's getting deep.
Right. Damn, I never even considered that, but maybe so. Because I do think that there is a little bit of fear of, if I am a good coach, you know what I mean? Yeah, I don't know, because I again haven't done it that much. I've taught for years and years and years. I've been teaching jiu-jitsu longer than I was ranked in jiu-jitsu. I came from that's a whole other thing. But no, putting yourself out there as a coach and going out and courting a guy and him losing. You know what I mean?
Even like that is them.
Right. So no, I mean there's a lot to it. But
that's what I was like.
There's so much to grow in.
And I do this too much, probably, Chad. I'm always the deep thinker of going, hey,
that's good.
Because man, Nathan, don't sell yourself short, because you did this on the mat and you're super successful and you're very good at jiu-jitsu, man. So don't think that you can't go out there and compete for them, but you can give them all the knowledge in the world, but it's a chip away, isn't it? Like, you're chipping away at that person or those kids or whoever's on that mat every single time. And I tell Chad this, like, we had an experience a few weeks ago where we had a team mat. We have six people. I screw up numbers sometimes.
Yeah.
But not everyone was successful. It's hard. It's hard as a coach, like, to walk away, like, feeling like you leave something on the table. Well, but it's like, you can't go out there and do it for them, but you can give them everything, and you already are. Like, Nathan, you're giving all your students everything you can. Go ahead.
And this is also a really huge thing that we can apply on the coaching level or the competition level or whatever. There's a line from one of my favorite poems, Rudyard Kipling's "If," and I've said this a lot of times, and I have it on the back of one of my school rash guards. And it's basically, if you can meet triumph and disaster and treat those two imposters just the same. Kind of like we were talking about earlier, it's not the goal that's important. It is just the doing it,
just doing it. Right.
Right. So it's just like, whether you win or lose. And here's another thing I tell my students often is, like, I'd rather have you lose than just sit on the couch that day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So is losing really that bad? Hell no. It's a step in the right direction, you know? So as a coach, we don't need to be hard on ourselves. As competitors, we don't need to be hard on ourselves. We just have to see it all as a growing process and
growing and learning in that process. And it's not bad to be hard on yourself either. Just be hard on yourself for the building the successful right things.
That's right.
Versus just beating yourself down constantly and like, I suck at everything and my life's awful. You know what I mean? Like, and you can go into that tailspin if you do that. So yeah, that's why I had to ask, man. Like, you read the book, and I'm like, I know a little bit about the book. I haven't read it, which now you're gonna make
it's an easy read. It's quick. It's almost like poetic in the way that there's like stanzas. It's not like a book that you need to read cover to cover. Sure. You know, like, you could just pick it up and read a couple of lines and be like, okay, dope, and go on about your day.
5 minutes of reading.
It's a good one.
There you go.
So hey, here's a question I like to ask people.
Yeah, man.
Maybe you guys can think about it for a second. But what is the best piece of advice you have ever been given?
Ever been given?
Yeah. I mean, I've got like a bunch of best advice I've ever been given, but maybe what's like the first thing that pops into your head?
I have one. So
okay,
go ahead.
Give it to me.
Okay. So my grandfather was a huge inspiration to me. He's a big idol of mine. He passed away from diabetes years and years ago, but he would always tell me all the time. It's funny because they call me Junior because I am a junior. I'm named after my father. So he'd be like, Junior, he goes, anything you ever do in your life, if you wake up and it's completely, and you're doing it because other people want you to do it, or you feel a need that you have to do it, then you're doing it for all the wrong reasons. If you're chasing money, if you're chasing this, like, you need to find out, you need to find that little voice inside of you that's going to say, no, this is your plan. This is what you need to do. Don't do it for, I'm going to make $10,000 or you're doing this job just because you're making good money. Like, yep. Because then you're not going to be happy and your life's really not going to be fulfilled. And I've taken that to heart, a lot of things that I've done in my life.
Dude, that's wisdom right there.
So that's always comes to me, if that ever. It's like my big thing.
Oh, yeah.
Go ahead, Chad. What do you got?
Probably on the spot here, bro. But.
I know.
No, and it's always hard to remember. Like, you've been, we've all been around some good people, but I think my dad told me, my dad passed away, 10 years ago or more now. But when I was getting older and started going out with friends and hanging out with people, he would always tell me, just, be who you are. Don't worry about what other people think of you. Don't care if they don't like you, or obviously we all want to be liked and do the right thing. But it kind of turns back into this conversation tonight. It kind of ends what we're talking about, right? You asking that and me thinking about it. Like, who cares if you put a video up and nobody likes it? Who cares if...
Do you like it? Do you like it?
Do you like it? Right. Obviously I do, or I wouldn't have put it on there, right?
There you go.
So I think that's, be who you are, be true to yourself. And, if somebody doesn't like you, it's okay. Doesn't mean you don't have to like them.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
For sure. So, what about you, Nathan? Come on, man. You got.
Well, yeah. I mean, like I said, one of them is motivation comes after action. You know what I mean? Anytime I feel like I don't want to do something, it's like, okay, just remember, once you get started, you will. But gosh dang, again, well, now you put me on the spot.
Yeah.
I didn't expect you to flip the script on me like that. But no, it really, I mean, kind of like what you guys just both said. It's just like, look, okay. My life drastically changed once I realized that I wasn't actually living honestly. I wasn't honest with myself, and I wasn't honest with the people around me. I mean, really, you can't be honest with the people around you if you're not honest with yourself.
Sure, 100%.
Right. So yes, doing things so that people would like me is something I've done wrong a lot of my life. And so, or thinking I needed to do something. And so one day I just realized, damn, okay, I'm going to start being honest with myself. And okay, I'll put it like this. And so it's kind of long drawn out, but there's basically 3 types of selfishness, and it's impossible to not be selfish. It is impossible. Even if you do something for someone else, well, it makes you feel good. Why did you do it? For at the very least, to feel good for yourself. Yeah. Right. Okay. So there's the type of selfishness that only benefits you. And usually that can actually be a destructive selfishness, because it would benefit only me for me to go rob somebody. Right. Okay, cool. Right. It doesn't even make me feel good, but I gain from it. Okay, whatever. But so let's just say it like this again. There's the type of selfishness that only I would benefit from. But then there's the type of selfishness that like everyone benefits from, right? It benefits me. It makes me feel good to make other people feel good, right? Now, I would be delusional if I said like, and people would say, oh, I do this for other people. No. You're kind of being a little bit delusional about it. You're doing it for yourself. Even a mother, the highest love possible on earth, I think, is a mother loving their child.
Yeah, by far, for sure.
Okay, right. But they want to take care of their child because they'd feel terrible if they didn't. Mm-hmm. So it is still, it's just refined selfishness. Okay, and it's a good thing. I'm not saying it's, again, you can't not be selfish. So you might as well have the highest expression of selfishness. And then there's the lowest form of selfishness, which is doing something you don't want to do, and doing it with such a shitty attitude that it doesn't even make them feel good, and everybody kind of loses, right? So it's like when you have to do something begrudgingly, it's just like, look, it's better to not do something. So I will disappoint people, but at least I'm not disappointed too. Like people want me to go do something, and I'm like, you know what? I just can't do it. And maybe they're a little bit sad, but at least it didn't kind of drain my energy or take from me, so to speak.
Yeah.
So as opposed to if I would have done it, I would have been drained. I would have been unhappy. I would have probably had a bad attitude, and they wouldn't have even liked it. So why did I even do it? So again, the type of selfishness that only benefits me, the type that benefits everyone, and the type that benefits nobody. That's it. So now you can use that to basically make every decision in your life. Am I doing this only for myself, which again is fine and natural at times, or again, it benefits. I love teaching jiu-jitsu. It benefits other people. It benefits me. I'm able to make a living. But like, being a nice guy doesn't make me a good person. I'm doing it selfishly. I am nice because everyone's then nice to me.
Right.
You know what I mean? But I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it because I'm a good person. You know what I mean? That's some bullshit, So anyway, that's just kind of how I see the world. I see things basically out of those things. It doesn't. I like to try to take, and I once told someone this, and they told me it sounded Machiavellian, and I don't know how I feel about that, but I think that we should take a lot of. I think things should be done more out of practicality than morality, because morality is such a confusing thing, because what is good to one person might be bad to another, or whatever, depending on where and when you live in the history or on Earth, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
But it is practical to be nice to people. Yeah. It just makes my life better. It makes me feel better. It makes everyone feel better. So, I like to think of things not so much in a moral lens, but a practical lens.
Sure.
And so again, kind of goes back to the selfishness thing. And anyway, kind of a long explanation, but that's sort of some filters I use to make decisions in my life.
Sure. It's great. And one of the key things that you said, which so many people don't do or they struggle with, once you start being honest with yourself, legitly being honest with yourself, everything will change. Okay. I teach my kids, like, we'll have conversations and I may know like something that they may be trying to withhold. And I'm like, are you being honest with yourself? And like that kind of leads them out to be, they're always open with my wife and I, and they talk and we have very open conversations. And my kids, I have 3 kids, age 9 to 15. I have a daughter in the middle. So it's 9, 13, and 15, 2 boys and a girl. And people are like, wow, you talk to your kids about that stuff? And I'm like, they ask questions. We don't hold back from them. We may not give them all the information. Nice. But we're honest with them, and they are honest with themselves. And we teach that to them, to be honest with themselves, because we want that to project into their life. Like, so they can start questioning their own being of self and what they're doing, and maybe that'll help them. And it's helped me to be honest with myself about stuff, like stop being lazy or whatever it may be. You know what I mean? Like, just
and that honesty with yourself, it can be very tricky, because you might say to yourself, I want to live on a tropical island. It's like, okay, right. But if you really did, you would live on that tropical island. What you actually want is the thing you're doing right now, more than living on a tropical island. And the day that you want to live on a tropical island more than work that bullshit job, that's the day you'll go and do it. Yeah. So it sounds like a nice idea. That's part of being honest with yourself, realizing that what you're doing right now is a choice. And like once you give yourself that power back to make those decisions, like truly with true awareness of, I guess I do want to live here in Seattle and do these things more than I think I want to do these other things, because here I am.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's some realness.
It is, dude, for real. It's awesome. Great. Well, we've had you for a solid hour, my brother. Appreciate it. Everything that you did. Why don't you do this? Shout out all your socials, anything you want, any kind of sponsors. We always put it in the show notes for everyone to get to. So go ahead, Nathan, have at it, my friend.
Yeah. Well, my Instagram is Nate Orch 10P. You can follow me there on Instagram. That's where I'm I guess that's really the only place I'm active on social media. Or you can follow my school page, where I drop a lot more technique. And that's 10th Planet Seattle. And then shout out to Phalanx. They've sponsored me most of my black belt career. I love their rash guards. They're a dope company to be kind of involved with. Definitely check them out. Just 10th Planet in general, jiu-jitsu in general, get out there, go do some jiu-jitsu. Most people listening are probably doing jiu-jitsu.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
But
we hope.
But right. We hope. But no. Yeah. If not, go do it. Right.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
exactly.
So absolutely. Yeah. Just spread, again, I'm kind of a zealot of jiu-jitsu. Talk about it, be about it, spread that jiu-jitsu, get out there. It's so good for us. And kind of another thought, just to leave you guys with. I got so much to say, but
you're good, man.
But an interesting thing about jiu-jitsu is how it makes us more powerful, right? And so something I like to leave with people is like, listen, if you're not trying to become a kinder person as you become more powerful, you can become a tyrant or a bully, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, cool. As we learn this superpower of controlling other people and learning how to not be controlled by other people, become aware of that. Become aware of those levels of selfishness. Like, okay, are you doing this and only you benefiting from it, or by this new power that you have, or are you benefiting other people with this new power too? Otherwise you become that bad guy. So become more aware of others as you become more powerful. That's something that is important to me.
I like that a lot. Like a lot of good stuff, man. I can't thank you enough for coming on, because
thank you guys for
it's been a great show, man. God bless you and your family and everything that you doing, man. This was awesome. Like, I love shows like this that we just talk about, just like deep thinking stuff and just stuff that I think can benefit people, in general. Absolutely. Like, it's very cool. I
appreciate it. Thank you. We'll keep in touch, guys.
For sure, my friend.
For sure.
All right.
Yeah. Awesome.
Chad, you good?
Yeah, I'm good. Thanks, brother. I appreciate you.
All right, Nathan. Take it easy, brother. We'll see you, man.
Cool.
All right, later.